Well, here we go again. I guess last time I mentioned that my father had passed away and left my mother with 11 children. Of course, we had 13 altogether, but 11 were still alive. And I was the youngest of the 11, and I was less than a year old. So I really never knew my father, and that's the reason why I skipped from the time they met to the time my father died, because everything I know about that period is what I've been told. I'm trying to give you some talk about hard times and handling problems and things of that nature. And to do that, I have to go through original experiences. So we'll start with my father passing away. Now, Italians, if there's a death in the family, a lot of people don't know this, but if there's a death in the family, the old-timers would not allow any music in the house. They would allow no laughing whatsoever. TV, they didn't have them then, but forget about it. No movies, no nothing. It was a mourning period until my mother said that we could turn the radio on. So I was so young that I can't tell you exactly what happened, but I'm going to tell you a series of events that I know happened. When my father died, he was well liked by everybody. I mean, he was very popular, and he had a great personality. And my mother, well, I'm telling you about her. When he died, about 2-3 months later, my mother had like 4 offers of marriage from a lot of the other people from the same area in Italy. And she turned them all down. And then she had offers of help with the kids. In fact, I know that somebody wanted to adopt me and take some of the kids off of her hands. And she said, nope, we stay as a family. So she ended up with $200 from the railroad on my father's death. She had an old car that my father drove, Model T Ford or something. But my oldest brother, who was, I think, around 16, ran away from home and took the car. So the oldest one, old enough to work and maybe bring some money home, left. And I don't blame him. I mean, I would have left too if I knew any better. But the main thing is that my mother had 8 of us, or 10 of us kids, and 2 sisters. Now, both of my sisters were in, I think, junior high school. They dropped out of school to start helping around the house. The boys, with me as the youngest, and the oldest being my brother, we had a brother named Batu who passed away, but I don't know where the name came from. But my sister Anita was the one next in line. So we went to work, and I'm going to tell you what we did. To eat, we used to pick dandelions from fields. You know, the ones where the little flowers grow up? Well, those dandelions made great salads. We were told not to pick the ones that had flowers in them. And then we used to pick grapes, wild grapes, and we worked wherever we could. So we would walk out to the edge of town where the farms were, and we offered to pick strawberries, pick raspberries, pick grapes, and we would bring home maybe 20, 30 cents, 50 cents. One of my brothers was very smart, and he used to go to some of these produce places And he would take all the produce that was thrown away, but some of it was spoiled, so they threw it away. Pick the best ones out of it, and he would, with a wagon, go down the streets knocking on doors and asking people if they wanted to buy cucumbers or whatever he had in his wagon. And he made a little bit of money too. And we, of course, brought whatever money we made home to my mother. Now, my mother, with the $200 she had, bought 100 sacks of 100 pounds flour. So 100-pound sack of flour, 100 of them, and had them put in the basement. And we had no idea what was going on, but she had a reason for it, because she was going to make all our food from then on. So next thing we did is we had a garden, and I'm talking about an acre of a garden. And we still had no money, and what little money we got in went for heat and lights or whatever around the house. Then, now this woman cannot read or write. She saw a farm for sale. So she went to the bank, barely spoke English, and asked if they would lend her any money. And they sat her down, and I guess enough equity in the house allowed her to borrow some money. So she borrowed $224.50. It had to be that exact amount, because that's what she needed for down payment on the farm. And we were farmers. She sold the house we lived in, and we fixed up the farm, the house at the farm. It was a mess, really big mess. So she did all her cooking outdoors in a big stone oven. She made all the bread, all the pastas, everything was cooked outdoors. Now this woman got up at 6 in the morning, every morning, did not go to bed until the last of us were asleep, which was around midnight or 1 in the morning. She did that for the rest of her life. So when you talk about hard times, you got to talk about some very serious determination. Now we'll talk a little bit about my mother. And she loved to sing. And I must have heard Ave Maria 500 times, 5,000 times, whatever. But she sang all the little songs that were from her village in Italy. It was in Isernia. And she would sing Mamma Mia or Mama, this Tarantellas, everything. And she made us kids dance to her singing. So you can see a bunch of kids going around the kitchen tables dancing as my mother sang. Well, I had no idea how rich my childhood was becoming. Now, my mother also helped bring her sisters in Italy to this country. And she raised money through some of the relatives. And they all chipped in. And one by one, the sisters would come to Ohio, right near Cleveland. Ashtabula was the name of the city. And they would settle down and get married. Well, I ended up with so many cousins that I had no idea if they were the George family, the Caggiano family, the DiCamillo family. I mean, they were just all over the place. But that gave me a world of friends and relatives. Now, I went to school with holes in my clothes. And by the way, I was the only one out of 11 children to graduate high school. All the rest dropped out and went to work, but I was a baby. So I think you should know that this was also during the Depression. And people all over were having trouble. So we were not special because we had hard times. We were part of the masses. And my mother always had a smile for us. And she would even sit and listen to our problems. So I'm going to tell you more about that later, because right now, I'll be back.